All right, what's up, guys? Forex market update. Let's get straight into it. We'll start with gold. Fix the sound. Perfect. All right. So as you can see, we have grabbed that weekly open. We'll see if this range will develop. I don't need the weekly open there anymore as we have grabbed it. I will also remove this POC. Yeah, look, it's just a high time frame range in development. Nothing really to dive into too much detail on. We are still very much so bearish on the still bearish on the hour. Potentially some supply here. See how valid this supply is. Okay, there's somewhat overlapping demand, overlapping supply, sorry, but I don't think it's that valid. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not the most valid, but but we do have this, which does showcase where the true inefficiency lies from this supply POI, which we can have on our chart. Yeah, and then other than that, contextually speaking, not a whole lot has changed. We're still fairly bullish. Yeah, that's our 4-hour low. Obviously, we broke too bullish here. So yeah, not a whole lot has changed. Yeah, it's still fairly bearish locally. Still bearish on the daily. Actually, did I miss this? So that was our daily high, but then we put in a low. Bang, that's our daily high. Yeah, it is. Boom. Break of structure, we're bullish on the daily. Haven't exactly grabbed this liquidity. Well, that's our break of structure to back to bullish on the daily, and that's our daily low, which we've SFP'd. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I missed this, but we are bullish on the daily. Yeah, like if you're using basic market structure, that's the wrong. If we're using basic market structure, we're currently in a downtrend. That was our daily high. Now this is our daily high right here, but then boom, we've broken that too bullish. So yeah, there's our break of structure too bullish on the daily. Now we've taken just made a higher low for a potential higher high. So let's see how that develops. But yeah, high time frame bullish, lower time frame bearish. Weekly is probably still bullish. We can remove that. We don't need. Yeah, and then that is our weekly low still, so that remains unchanged. So high time frame is bullish. So let's see how this develops. I don't think that is valid demand. May have been mitigated on the lower time frame. Yeah, unless there's some overlapping demand, which is possible. Yeah, it's kind of all mitigated on the lower time frames. There's no real valid demand. If you really want, you can use this. If you really want, but it's not that significant. Yeah, so I'll use this as demand for now. Bear with me for a minute. All right. Yeah, that's kind of it for gold. Not a whole lot I'm too interested in doing any further. Main focus is this higher time frame range. If we really want, we can potentially look at this. So we'll see how this develops later on. But other than that, that's kind of all you can really do. Yeah, nothing really from a local standpoint. So we just kind of got a range within a range here. So let's see what happens there. Looking at silver. Well, we've absolutely targeted that weekly open after the SFP there, which we can see. And we have ran through our weekly open. Still maintaining the bearish sentiment. So yeah, definitely if you did enter anywhere here, very good opportunities to de-risk. You essentially have two opportunities to de-risk, an SFP here and then an SFP here. So you should be risk off by now and you shouldn't be losing anything. Maybe we do hunt this liquidity. Would this still be a valid trade? Let's have a look. Tab 1 to 2, 22 days, 9 hours. Tab 2 to present, 11 here. Valid. So if you have not entered, maybe depending on how price action moves, we might get a re-entry, mitigating demand, sweeping extreme liquidity, and then that could be our break of structure thereabouts, which could give us your tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. Semi counter context because we are bearish low time frame, but obviously bullish on the weekly. So let's see what happens there. But from a local standpoint, not a whole lot I'm too interested in. Still fairly bearish. Very manipulative move in Asia, and yeah, just not a whole lot I am too interested in for now. So let's setting an alert there just in case we do regain this potential price action, but let's see what happens. Yeah, not really too interested in anything at the moment. This range definitely needs a little bit more time for now. Let's have a look at oil. Well, the weekly open on oil is still intact. It is kind of protected by supply at the moment, but for now we're still fairly bearish, so can't really be looking for longs just yet. Trying to figure out, why do I have an alert there? Who knows? Still bullish on the daily, as you can see. That's our daily low. Honestly, not a whole lot to do at the moment. The only thing I'm looking for is maybe an accumulation later in the week, which we can then target that weekly open. Something like this. Boom. 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 Not the best drawing, but you get the gist, and then this can obviously play into a higher time frame distribution model. So we will see what happens, but at the moment, not a whole lot. No real ranging price action that's of any interest to me just yet. So we'll see what happens. And then even locally speaking, not a whole lot to do here. So patience, ladies and gentlemen, patience. Let's move on to Euro GBP. This is interesting, although it's not really the range I'm after. I don't like this price action in here, and this move's just been too, it just looks like market structure, higher high, higher low. Although we do have yesterday's Asia and the weekly open quite nicely sitting here. Asia highs are here, so I'm going to assume Asia highs might get taken out. Is that a higher? Okay. The only thing I would be looking at doing is looking at this as a potential new range. That is pretty much it. We've done this before. Distribution using to create a higher time frame distribution range. Will that happen? We don't know, but we can only look for confirmation. So I will be paying attention to this range at the moment. This is the new range I'm focusing on. Don't know if we'll get confirmation today. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows? That is created during after hours, so I think that will get taken. Essentially, I'm pretty much just looking for a semi-decent distribution model here to, take towards that weekly open. We are still bullish for now, so yeah, still bullish on the hourly, probably still bullish on the 4, and most likely bearish on the daily still. Yep, still bearish on the daily, so not a whole lot has changed for us for now. So let's just see what happens. I am going to remove some of these alerts because they are kind of useless. Yeah, this is my pre-planning for Euro GBP. So once again, not a whole lot to do at the moment. We even have a naked low there, which can definitely get taken out. Very nice naked low. So we will see what happens. Yeah, that is it for Euro GBP. USD has ran through that CME, so none of this is of use to us anymore. Sentiment has probably changed. We're very much so bearish on the hour, probably still bearish on the 4 still bearish on the 4, and then the daily will most likely still be bearish. Yep, and then and the weekly still bullish. Okay, so pretty much everything is bearish except for the weekly here, which remains bullish. Then we have some potential supply there. The only thing that I can really target at the moment is looking at a potential accumulation from this perspective. It's not the cleanest, but it's going to involve quite a bit of work, I guess, but essentially what I would want is a fast continuation to mitigate this demand, create a nice wick, and then pull back in, mitigate supply, and then just slowly come back down and then create that break of structure. So if this happens, this would be very, very clean, but I would first need a mitigation of this demand before I look for any sort of longs. If we don't mitigate demand, I'm not really interested in looking for longs, especially because we're so bearish and there is supply above here. So yeah, there's quite a few prerequisites, if you will, that we're going to need for this to happen. So yeah, we will leave that as it is. Looking at the sessions, yeah, Asia high is also quite nicely. It's quite nicely here, so we could potentially take this with a grain of salt. Take this supply zone with a grain of salt is what I was referring to. So let's see how that plays out, and then looking at this on a lower time frame. So on a lower time frame, it kind of has been mitigated. So it's not the cleanest, really. It's not really the cleanest supply POI. So we can be a little lenient with this, to be completely honest, and especially the fact that we've got Asia highs right here. So yeah, let's see. But regardless, we do need a mitigation of demand, full stop. So let's see what happens there. We will move on to NZD CAD. Pull this demand across. Still very much so bearish there. Yeah, honestly, just not a lot has changed. We're quite bearish. Is this valid demand is my question? Or has this been mitigated on the lower time frame? Well, looks like we might have some overlapping demand, which could be quite valid. Yeah, this is valid. We do have some overlapping demand here, which can very much be very much pay attention to. Is this valid as well? Okay, this isn't. This isn't, but this is. So yeah, very valid demand here. We've even got liquidity here. Really, really nice. It's so yeah, good little POI there to look at later on. Pull our little put a little alert there. So just based on these POIs, I am willing to potentially accumulate here. So yeah, we will see what happens. Obviously the weekly is bullish, so if we look at this from a weekly perspective, this can be a POI for a, slow pullback for a continuation upwards. Yeah, like this is pretty much weekly market structure. Boom. That's close enough. You get the gist. Boom. Okay, didn't draw the best, but boom. Boom. We're bullish. So now this could literally be just the little pullback for us to continue higher. So yeah, we can potentially look at an accumulation. Once again, we do need clean break of structures, clean mitigation. So we will see what happens. But as of now, I will pull my range like so. And that is that. I don't need an alert below because there's quite a few things that can be alerted below. And yeah, this is all I'm looking at for NZD CAD really. So we will see what happens. Asia high has not been swept. So guys, it is good to be back on the charts. There is no better feeling. All right. That is kind of it for NZD CAD. We've done what we can do. Sentiment remains as is. Let's let this play out and see what happens. AUD CAD. Oh wait, viciously dumping for that weekly open. We're pretty much going to grab it, I reckon. Well, we broke to... Okay, no, we haven't. We've broken to bullish here. We broke to bearish here. Broke back to bullish. Broke back to bearish. Oh, actually, this isn't breaking to bullish because it's an inside bar candle, so I believe I did calculate this correctly. But this is valid structure. Yeah, we did break here to bullish. And we're still bullish, so yeah, we are still bullish on the hourly. No valid structure was broken here. If we do sweep this weekly open and close below, we are going to be bearish, back to bearish on the hourly. And then on the 4 hour, bullish. Well, there is a valid structure here, so we would have obviously gone to bullish. And then yeah, we're bearish. There's our bearish closure, and then there's our bullish break. So yeah, we're bullish on the 4 hour as well. Not too sure as to why this says bearish. And that's our 4 hourly low. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, it just is the way it is. Daily. Daily is bullish because there's no, our daily low is right here. So yeah, we are quite bullish. Are we also in an accumulation? We're in a completed accumulation. Sort of. So yeah, we're kind of in a prolong environment essentially. We'll remove this. But yeah, so far we just haven't broken anything to bearish just yet. Like yeah, we broke to bearish, but then obviously we've broken back to bullish. Right there, that's our bullish break on the hourly. Honestly, right now I'm just looking at any sort of POIs that I could chart up. Our weekly open is very close to being mitigated, it just has not yet. There might be some supply here, but then again, it's a fairly bullish context, so it might not be the most useful supply POI. So yeah, let's see what happens. Not a whole lot to work off from AUD CAD at the moment. Maybe we can use this as a potential accumulation POI if we do sweep the range low here. And if this is obviously a valid demand POI on the lower time frame. Yeah, it's valid. Very much so. So let's see if we can use this demand creation for a accumulation range later down the track. Very nice POI there. Okay. We'll leave AUD CAD as is. GBP AUD. Okay, so we have obviously grabbed the weekly open. Now looking at the price action, we are now bullish on, very much so bullish on the hour. Are we bullish on the 4? No. Still bearish on the 4 for now. Just bullish on the hour. Daily is still obviously bullish, and then weekly is still bearish. So it's kind of it's like a semi-neutral context. We've got liquidity above. We've just transitioned to bullish on the lower time frames. Yeah, there's nothing really to monitor just yet. Could you look at this as an extended model potentially? Not the cleanest model though, just an FY there. It's pretty much just market structure. Yeah, honestly, let's see what happens if we do come back in here. We've even got overlapping demand. Created multiple times actually. Yeah, you've got a few demand POIs. You've got this one here. And then you've got this one here as well. And then yeah, you've got more demand up here. Like price is just creating demand after demand after demand. And then in terms of the Asia low is below us, so could be a decent liquidity target. It's technically not part of the model. It's not part of tab 3, so it can be used as a liquidity target. If it was part of tab 3, then you wouldn't necessarily use it as your liquidity target. Asia low, not Asia high. But yeah, because it's not part of the model, if this was our Asia low, then yeah, you wouldn't use this as a liquidity target. But it isn't, so it can be. All right, let's see what happens essentially with this range. But yeah, just remember that the hourly is bullish now. We've even got demand here. So quite a few demand PIs are protecting this. But yeah, it can very much be a higher time frame model 2, something like this. Boom. So we will see. Our hourly low is, I think it might just be that Asia low, to be honest. Yeah, that is our hourly low. So we will see what happens. You can move GBP AUD a little bit higher. GBP JPY. Okay, well, we seem to be quite bullish here, so it could be in contention for an accumulation. And we are, for now, still bullish on the hourly. There's our hourly low. The only thing I don't like is we just haven't really created a return to zone. Ideally, we start pumping up aggressively, and then this becomes the liquidity POI, which we can then come back sweep and then break structure for our tap 1, 2, and 3. As this is just way too narrow and way too close to the second tap for me to use as a third tap. And then yeah, even here from like a supply perspective, there's no real clean supply. Got Asia high above. Asia low has been taken. Let's see if we do deviate this tap. And then is there refined demand here. There could be. Has been mitigated ever so slightly. I think this can be used as supply, but we'll double check on a lower time frame. Okay, it has been mitigated on a lower time frame, and this is there is quite a bit of buy side liquidity here, so it's not really, yeah, even up here. So yeah, it's not really a good supply POI, which favors us, of course. But yeah, let's just see how this plays out. We are quite bullish, so look, for me to take along here, I do need a bit more of a return to zone, locally speaking. So let's see if that plays out later in the evening. Even if it's just something like this, real local in here. If we do something like this, I'm willing to take this as a long. I don't need for price to come all the way up near EQ. If it does, then so be it. But especially with Asia highs unswept, if we do something like what I've just drawn there, I am willing to long that. So yeah, let's see how this price action develops for now. Move GBP JPY up. USD CHF has ran through this CME gap. Well, we are now back to bullish. Bullish on the hour. Bullish on the 2 hour. Yeah, we're just overall bullish pair here. Can use this as some demand for a pullback later on. I'm not really interested in this Asia low anymore. And yeah, essentially plan here is a simple accumulation if we do get it. Not looking at this as a range anymore. Could use this as a local scalp. You can, but it's not really my favorite move to do. Although you do have some nice liquidity. So look, you know what, let's just see what happens. It would be a very counter context trade though if you're going to short this. So yeah, pretty simple here. Asia high is range high, Asia low is range low. So can't really go wrong with the development of price at the moment. So let's see what we take out first. Ideally Asia high, and we distribute, mitigate demand and go higher. So that's kind of the context here. But let's see what happens. We'll move USD CHF to the top. Now let's continue on USD JPY. Well, we can quite simply see the range building here. Yeah, bullish across everything else. Similar idea, a potential, this could be a potential PO3 schematic realistically. So let's see if we get it. There's some London manipulation there. But yeah, just being mindful of the context. Once again, it's a counter context move, this. Yeah, I would much rather focus on the higher time frame range than anything locally building up in here. Asia highs there, so yeah, I'm just going to leave this as is and see how price develops. Euro USD. Smash through the CME. Perfect. Bear with me. All right. Contextually speaking, yeah, contextually speaking, we are now bearish on the hourly as well. So that can be changed. This range isn't really of interest to me anymore. Also, given the context, we're quite bearish. Yeah, not a whole lot I'm interested in doing at the moment, just with this range, so I'm going to need to give this some more time to develop. Not much is happening at the moment in terms of Euro USD. So we will keep the ball rolling. GBP NZD. Technically speaking, we're bullish here. Like, yeah, that's valid market structure. We've SFP'd this. Oh no, technically no, we've broke. Yeah, that is valid structure there. That's low, and then bang, we've broken to bullish there. Right there, we're bullish. So the hourly is bullish, and then the 4 hour might still be bearish. Yeah, 4 hourly is still bearish. So yeah, just the hourly is bullish, which can favor this distribution targeting the weekly open. bullish on the daily. Let's double check that. Okay, that's correct. We are bullish on the daily. That's fine. That is very fine. So not a whole lot really to do here, except for just monitor this high time frame. Yeah, just monitor this high time frame distribution, and let's see what happens. Yeah, AUD CHF. Well, this is a very ugly range. Well, we did go to bullish on the hourly at one point, and it's high, valid low, two consecutive bullish candles, and that's our low, and then we've broken that to bearish. So yeah, we are still bearish on the hourly, and then on the 4 hour. The 4 hourly remains bullish, and so does everything else. So not really a whole lot to draw in this on this price action at the moment for AUD CHF. Yeah, not a whole lot to draw. We are in demand as we speak, which you can see that you're going quite deep into demand. How valid is this supply? Let me double check. Okay, we do have some valid supply, which is overlapping. Boom. But yeah, not a whole lot to do at the moment for this for the price action here. It's just quite ugly, so we'll let this play out as is. And on the weekly, we're still a little bit to go before we are potentially being bullish, or before we potentially transition to bullish. So yeah, we'll leave that as is. All right, Euro NZD. Well, there's a nice little range forming there, which we can see. And yeah, still bullish on the 4 hour. I don't see as to why we would be bearish on the 4, and still bearish on the daily. So yeah, I can envisage a distribution model around this supply POI. So let's just see what happens. And locally speaking, I'm not too interested in anything where, as you can see, we're very close to the range high. So let's just let this play out and see what happens. Boom. Perfect. There is Euro NZD. USD CAD. Oh. Well, we've mitigated supply here. Although we are fairly bullish, as we can see. And we have broken through supply as well a number of times. There is some okay liquidity below us, but I do need us to pull back into the zone. But we are also creating liquidity as we are pulling back into the zone, so it's not really my favorite price action just yet. Yeah, we're just still bullish here. Not a whole lot to do, so my only potential opportunity is a high time frame distribution, but it's just so counter context, so we will leave this as is. Not really interested in anything else. If this is valid supply, let's double check. It's been ever so slightly mitigated, but you know, when the mitigation is that slight, we can still have this up. And that goes to show where the true inefficiency lies. So yeah, not really in favor of this potential distribution range. I'd much favor it, and accumulation model should happen later on. And then GBP USD is still bearish by the looks of it. We've gone for all that liquidity. Still bearish. Well, the daily is now bearish, as that is our daily structure break. So we're officially bearish across the whole range here. So I would be very much so favoring distributions. Weekly, let's just double check that. Yeah, weekly is still bearish. So yeah, once again, we're in a somewhat of a distribution model, not the cleanest, but we are in a bearish context. So look for distributions. And yeah, that is it for today, guys. Let me double check if we have left behind supply, which we can use as a POI later on. Right there. All right, that is it for today, guys. Hope you found this useful. A few things to monitor, a few things which we can just sort of see what happens throughout the week. But yeah, to summarize, we're looking at this range for gold. We're watching a potential high time frame model play out here for silver. If we can sweep this liquidity and maybe mitigate demand. Oil, not a whole lot to do. And then yeah, just a few Forex pairs which we are monitoring. Euro GBP being one of them. We're looking at this range from a distribution perspective, as well as this counter context USD CHF range. Don't think this will play out, but our alerts are set. And then we have some higher time frame ranges here, AUD USD being one of them, GBP JPY as well. We will see what happens there. And yeah, that is kind of it for today, guys. Thank you all for listening, for viewing. Subscribe if you've made it this far, and I will catch you all soon. Peace.